Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can configure SSH connection in Ubuntu servers. Let's say you want to communicate to the remote servers from your local machine, then you need to establish SSH connection. SSH stands for a Secure Shell. This is one kind of communication protocol which will enable the computers to communicate in a secured way. Now let's see the steps to configure SSH in Ubuntu servers. For the demonstration purpose, I have created two Ubuntu servers. All right. Uh, Now let's do the configuration in the machines and the servers, in the servers and in the VirtualBox. So these two servers I have created with the Oracle VirtualBox. So I'm going to do a few network setup in VirtualBox. So I'm going to the server 1 and server 2 in VirtualBox and go to the setting in the server 1 and go to the network tab and adapter 1, make sure that this value is kept as NAT for adapter 1 and for adapter 2, this value is kept as cost only adapter, right? Do the same setup for server 2, network adapter 1 as NAT and host only adapter, right? Now let's find the host IP address, and based on the host IP address and the subnet mask, we can figure out the IP address range that we can use in our individual machine, so in these servers. So in order to find the host IP address, go to the File, Tool, and Network Manager. So here we have the IP address for the host, and this is the net mask. Now I'm going to find the IP address range which I can use in my machine. So I'm using this website application to the web-based application to find out the IP address range. So you can simply Google and find this IP address calculator. So I'm giving the IP address here and the subnet mask. All right, so here we have the IP address range from 1 to 254. We can pick two IP addresses for our two machines in order to make the connection. So the reason for setting up the IP address in each machine where those machines will be identified in the network using those IP addresses. So we will be like, if you're establishing the connection from one machine to another machine, so we will be reaching out to that particular machine, a remote machine, using this IP address. So here the one is already used by the host. So I will be using 2 and 3 for our two servers. So we are going to set up the IP address in this machine. So that's the first step in the SSH configuration. So we can set up the IP address in this machine by editing the NetPlan configuration file in Ubuntu. So let's do that first. So now we have to add a new Ethernet adapter with our IP address. So here, make sure that the spaces and the indentations are maintained correctly. So for the server 1, I will be using this IP address. So that's 24. Right, so we have added the new IP address here with the new adapter, and we'll save this file. Right, now let's see the configuration in that file. let's read that file again and see whether that is being updated. So I'm going to read that file. Okay, the new adapter and the IP address is set up here. So now we need to apply this network plan, net plan. So we can do that with this command. Right, it's been applied successfully. So the machine must be set up with the new IP address, new static IP address. We can see that with IP address command, IP addr. Right, so here you can see the newly added IP address. Now let me do the same setup in server 2 as well. So here I will add the second IP address. Oh, sorry. So here I will make it as 3/24. So now I will save the file here. Let's read the edited file. Right, so we have updated the file. Now let's apply the net plan we have created. Right, so it's been applied successfully. Let's see the IP address, newly set up IP address. Right, so you can see the new IP address here. So now let's see the second step to configure the SSH connection. So now we have to install SSH server and SSH client in these two machines. So let's do that now. So we are installing that in the server 1 first. Sudo apt install open SSH server and open SSH client. All right. This is already having this server and client. If you don't have it in your machine, this will install these packages in your machines. Let's do the same in server 2 as well. Right, this machine is also already having these packages installed. Now let's see the status of this SSH connection in this machine. So to see the SSH, whether the SSH service is already running, we can type this command, system control status. Right, there is a issue here. Status. Right, so you can see it is already up and running in server 2. Let's see the same in server 1 as well. Right, so it's running in server 1 as well. All right, so we have completed with the first two steps to create the SSH connection. The third and last step is configuring the firewall. So we can, so in the firewall, we have to allow the SSH connection from the remote server. So we can do the firewall setup in Ubuntu with a UFW tool provided by Ubuntu. So let's allow the SSH connection in firewall. For that, you need to use UFW tool where you have to allow SSH connection, right? So this has added the firewall rule to allow the SSH. Now we need to enable the connection, right? There's this rule, right? To enable, right? So you can see the message that the firewall rule is active and enabled. Even you can see the status. Right, you can see that it is running in port number 22. Let me do the same setup in server 2 as well. So the rule is added. Now we need to enable the rule. Right, so the firewall is activated now, and we can see the status. Right, here it is active, and it's allowed in port number 22, right? So we are perfectly fine with all three steps to configure the SSH connection. The first, we configured the IP address. Second, we have created the SSH. We have installed and activated the SSH. Then we have set up the firewall rule, right? Now we are going to establish the connection and see whether we are able to connect to the remote server. So what we are going to do is we are going to connect from server 1 to server 2 and going to log in to the user 2 in server 2 from server 1. So you can find the user 2 in server 2. So what we are going to do is we will establish the connection to server 2 from server 1 and log into this particular user. So we are in user 1 now. We have logged in with user 1 in server 1. Now we are going to, so this is server 1. Now we are going to log into the server. We are going to establish the connection to server 2 and log into the user 2 in that machine. So in order to establish the connection, we need to use this command, SSH, and then you are going to log into the user 2 in that machine in server 2. So user 2 at sign, and you need to give the IP address of that particular machine, server 2, because we are going to identify that machine in network using the IP address, right? So the IP address of that machine is 168.56.3, right? So this is the IP address. Okay, so here you can see now it's asking to log into the user 2 in this remote machine. So it's asking to give the password of that user 2 in that particular machine. Don't forget that it is not asking your machine, your local machine password. It is asking for the password of the user 2 in server 2 in that particular machine, right? I'm giving that password. Great. You can see the user 2 has been logged in from server 2. Do you want to really see whether this is actually in server 2 now from server 1? Because we are in server 1, but we have logged into the remote machine and we have established the connection to the remote machine and logged into the user in that particular machine. Do you want to really see whether this is actually in server 2? So we can do that. So to see that, we can investigate the IP address and see whether that is the IP address is given as the IP address of this particular machine or the IP address of the server 2. All right, I have typed a wrong command, IPADDR. All right, so here you can see the IP address, right? So here you can see the IP address is given as 3. So 3 is the IP address of server 2, this one, right? So 3. Because for the server 1, we have used the 2 as the IP address. So even you can see the directory. So here we are in user 2. All right. Now let's log out from this user by terminating the connection to the server 2. So it must be back to the user 1 in this local machine, which is server 1, right? Let's log out from that machine. Right, great. You can see the user 1 in server 1 now, right? So we have terminated the connection from server 2 and we are back to the server 1 and user 1. Let's see the IP address now. So here you see the IP address of server 1, which is set up with 2, right? 2. All right. So that's the end of this video about how to set up or how to configure the SSH connection and how to establish the connection. Hope you enjoyed this video and hope you learned a new thing today.